Hello, people of the internet. I just want to do a quick video about mistakes, a little example of someone else making a mistake, because I think we've all heard enough of me talking about myself, and owning mistakes. I think a lot of people say when bad things happen, it's just a learning experience, but if you don't own the bad thing that's happened and you don't learn from it, then it's just a bad thing. So yeah, mistakes are in that category of thing. Anyway, so my example for this is when I was back in Liverpool, I knew these twins from Spain, and they didn't really speak English very well. They were mostly in England to learn English, which is, in Liverpool was a very interesting place for that. And one of them had a lot of tattoos. One of them, I can't remember what exactly it was. It was something in the vein of no regrets. But there was a spelling error. Like, I know a lot of people find that they have no regrets or whatever because the E and the R are in the wrong place. It was something like that. Anyway, these two guys, they were like very short fuses. If they felt someone was making fun of them, they would immediately just switch to like attack mode, anger, and I had dealt with a little bit of that previously because I was working at this hostel and they had been staying there for quite a while, and there was a very small incident that turned into a way bigger. Anyway, so I kind of like knew them enough already. I spoke a little of Spanish, so like I was like speaking with them because yeah, they'd had very little English, so I think they knew that I was like trying to help usually. So yeah, the one had this tattoo with the spelling error. And because of the message of the tattoo, it was extra funny because it was something like no regrets. And I guess he had gone to a bar where someone was saw that and obviously was laughing at them. And I think a lot of it had to do with communication error because their English wasn't good enough to understand why it was funny. Like they didn't know that there was a spelling error. And Liverpool accent is hard enough for English speakers, so I think he couldn't explain why it was funny, and he was like, he came home pissed. I mean, not like a little drunk, but mostly like angry. Oh, this guy at the bar, what an asshole, la la. Okay. I'm like trying to like settle down, like it's a fine, whatever, it happens. And the brother was like, he was just like laughing at us for no reason, la la la. He don't like my tattoos. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a very weird, specific thing. And then I was like, oh, you have many tattoos. Like, you just didn't like tattoos? He's like, no, you're laughing at this one. And then I looked at it and was like, and I think sometimes when you don't know that you've done something wrong, and then it gets pointed out in a way which is embarrassing, at first it can be very embarrassing. I mean, and confusing, obviously, if you don't even understand what the problem is, which was this situation. So I immediately saw it and was like, oh no. And I think one of the other guests was like, what happened? And I'm like, someone made fun of this tattoo. And he's like, oh, what? And then looked and was like, oh. And I was like, yeah, but you know why. Like, you know why it's funny, right? He's like, what do you mean? It was in English, so obviously he had got the tattoo done in Spain, and I think the person who did it didn't really speak English. And it was in very thick lettering, like would be tough to cover up. And so I was like, listen. And then I sort of try to use a little bit of Spanglish so that the understanding would be there. I was like, listen, like this. Like the message is this, like not to do things you don't want to do, right? It's like, yes. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not right. What do you mean? And I'm like, you Google that word. You do it. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. And I'm like, you see that? Yeah. And I'm like, now what is yours? And then he was like, oh my God. And I go, oh, this is not the same word. And I'm like, yeah, it's not a word. This is a misspelling, which is nonsense. Anyway, so yeah, and so you could just see him going through for first angry at the other person, then angry, oh, this tattoo artist, he didn't even Google the word. How do you put this on me without checking the spell check? And it's like, yeah, also, maybe you should have known what you wanted before you went into the tattoo shop, especially if you know they don't speak English. And then it was like, yeah, that's true also. Oh my God, I'm an idiot also. And it's like, you could just see him working out through the phases of like mad at you, mad at this person, and finally realizing your own part in the mistake. And then he was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? It's like such a thick writing, everything. I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, now that you know, if someone looks at it, at least you can be the one who's like, I know. I did this tattoo, it was supposed to be for this message, and then it's like basically the opposite because it's telling you not to do anything stupid, and the tattoo is stupid. So, like, you have to see why it's funny. You make it into something funny. And then he was just like, oh, no. He was mad about it for days. And then I remember, like, a week later, someone came in, a very pretty girl he was chatting with. No. She's like, oh, you have so many tattoos. And then you see him go, but look at this one. And she's like, oh, yeah. And he's like, because you don't notice at first that it's spelled wrong, sort of, if you only glance. And he's like, isn't it stupid? Look what it says. And then she's like, oh my God, did you do that on purpose? And he goes, no. And they're both laughing about it. And I was like, see, now you just turned something bad into like a good chat up line that you can both enjoy. So I was like, yes, see, you gotta find the little silver lining. And also the lesson of like, hey, if I'm gonna get something tattooed on my body, maybe have a bit more thought go into it. Well, I have that same thing with my first tattoo because I mean I only have two, but it's Y, the word WHY. But the writing of it is very trying to be like graffiti writing. And I should have thought of that more before I went in. Because now everyone is like, does it say witty? Does it say witty or something? And I'm just like, oh my God, why would I have witty? But then also, why would I have Y? So, it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same story. Only mine is more like, it's not so much embarrassing as it is just like, I don't really want to have to explain this again. And I do think about fixing it every so often, but I just don't care enough. So yeah, that's my little anecdote about making mistakes, owning your mistakes, and moving on with your life and leaning into hopefully getting a lesson out of it and not just making it something bad that happened, but something learned. Hmm? Yeah.